If you could sum your character up in one word, what would that be?
Ruthless.
There you go, straight to the point, stuff like that. I absolutely like it. Do you know what I mean? Rob, absolute pleasure to have you on the show, mate. How's the week been for you?
Yeah, good mate. Yeah, we were just saying before we went live. I've just been preparing to uh, get ready for the States for America, which I fly to Florida on Monday. So just getting myself physically ready for that, as prepared as I possibly can. I have been doing for the past, well, I suppose you could say all my wrestling career, but for the start of the year, I've been seriously hammering down on it. So yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
Absolutely. We'll obviously talk about that and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously we're talking to Rob Brave and stuff like that. We got loads of fan questions and stuff like that. We're going to talk about his entire career and stuff. Enough rambling on. Let's get into the intro. So correct me if I'm wrong. You said about 6 weeks in the US,
Yeah, that's correct. 6 weeks, yes,
and we got any
absolutely. Long
plans?
time.
Have we got any plans for that? Or we're just going to see what overhappens.
No, I've already got like a lot of bookings out there already, um, and then also I'm planning on getting more when I actually am in America. It's going to be easily the busiest I've ever been so far in my wrestling career. So there's a few things that are hush hush, a bit quiet at the moment. But yeah, man, just like I was saying, getting prepared for it as much as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. We were just saying, as I was well before we came on the air, it's a long process, obviously, to get the visa and stuff in it.
Yes, yeah, it is. It can be. I don't know what it's like for everyone, but this is my first visa, so um, I can't remember exactly when the official process started because I've been talking about getting it for a while. But I think it started maybe September. If I remember rightly, September. I got it in January, so good 4 months, 4.5 months.
Wow, jeez. But like I said, mate, the main thing is as long as you enjoy it and stuff like that, that's the key thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like this is the next step in my career now. I've seen a lot of the indies, the UK indies. I've done quite a lot. So now I just want to do more international stuff, especially America.
There you go, there you go. So yeah, we'll obviously talk about your career today and stuff like that, man. Everyone has a story in wrestling. Rob, how does your story begin?
It actually begins when I was 10 years old. That's when I first officially started wrestling training. I did that with my brother in Preston for 21CW, for anyone who remembers that. I doubt there'll be many people that remember that, but I did that for 2.5 years, maybe three. But then it was just the training wasn't as catered to different levels and obviously different ages. Back then it was everyone gets put into the same pool, so I was coming out with concussions at a young age. And unfortunately I just had to stop. My schoolwork was dropping, um and obviously my health was getting worse. And then unfortunately for me as well, that's when the PlayStation 3 came out. So it's a combination of just bad things for a teenager. So yeah, I had to stop it, and then we picked it back up when I was 23. 23. I started training again, and then it's just been non-stop ever since. Yeah.
Interesting. You mentioned PlayStation 3. I've got to ask, what's the go-to games?
Well, Fallout. I've just been playing it. You know what? I'm just going to say it right now. Fallout. Fallout for PlayStation 3. If we're talking games in general, it's either Fallout or Resident Evil. Those are my go-to games. They're just I can play them without having to think. Just I know everything. I know it like the back of my hand. I've mastered Resident Evil one onwards. I'm not even kidding. I can complete that game in a stupidly quick time on the hardest difficulty. I become so obsessed. I love mastering those games, especially. I'm back on New Vegas at the moment, Fallout New Vegas, and I'm doing hardcore mode for the first time. And because I played it so much, it's not that difficult. I'm finding it fairly easy, and I'm not a good gamer by any means. But yeah, no, Fallout, Resident Evil, um, and like Star Wars games. I'm a single player guy mainly.
Wow. I, mean, I love the fact you said Fallout New Vegas because that's the first one I actually played.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I don't have a favorite Fallout. I just don't. They all have the things in them that I love. I just can't pick. Obviously Fallout 4 for the gameplay. The games actually runs better. Fallout New Vegas for the story, maybe, and then Fallout 3 because it just got me into it. That's what got me into it. There's something special about that game for me. I can't pick.
100%. 100%. Like I said, I love the fact that you said Fallout and stuff like that. So, focusing obviously on the rest and stuff like that, I've seen obviously a lot of your work from TNT. How did it all begin? Obviously, you going to TNT.
Um, well, I actually made my TNT debut a long time ago in 2020. This was the day after I wrestled my brother, actually, which is crazy in itself. But that was up for the pre-show. I was very very new. I didn't know who Rob Drake was, and then COVID happened, and then when it when wrestling started picking up again, I messaged Jay. I went to the shows, and he wanted me on, but he just didn't want to have me on for the sake of it, which I always appreciated. It's hard to kind of appreciate that stuff when you just wanting to work all the time, but in hindsight, he did me a massive favor, and it was actually Isaac who came up with the idea. No, Jay came up with the idea of Isaac being in a tag team, and then Isaac came up with the idea, well, it should be me. Because me and Isaac did a random one off tag match at, where was it now? Oh gosh, I can't even remember where it was. But we did a one off tag match, and it was like we've been tagging for 10 years. It was insane. Like, the chemistry was great. So then he passed that information on to Jay Apter, and then he, brought me in, became Temple of Malum, and we've been just rising up ever since.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the Temple of Malum is that obviously stable is so unique and stuff like that. I mean, just watching it even online, it's really, really creepy. How would you describe it for people who's not familiar with it?
You know what? It's hard to we're still trying to find our footing, but really, the best way I can describe it, genuinely, is if you can imagine Han Solo and Chewbacca as demonic entities. Like, Isaac North is Chewbacca, and I'm nothing like Han Solo, really, but, if we're going to compare, I'm like the Han Solo of the group. So he just grunts and he does really horrific things to people, batters them, and does things at my command. Um, but only I can understand him. So we'll do promos, and he'll grunt, do some speak horrible, uh, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe we should do it like that. And I don't really. We're vampires. We're not vampires. We're demons. We're not demons. We don't know. Like, we don't know what we are. We're just a creepy group. Just different. I just want it to be different. A lot of teams these days, there's no real like mythical tag team anymore. We don't have like your Kanes, your Undertakers anymore. And I wanted to kind of bring that back, especially Isaac when he wanted to bring that back. So I want him to be a demon. He should be a demon who's hard to beat, because how do you beat a demon unless you've got the Necronomicon? You know.
There you go, there you go. And how did obviously Violet come on board and stuff like that?
So Violet's actually not a part of it. So she was just a one-off. She was just,
Mm-hmm.
because she's with Isaac at Rise, I believe it is. So they're a thing at Rise. So then when we got brought in with new wrestling in Newcastle, she was a one-off with us, but she's Isaac's manager that was in a
Mm-hmm.
match with us. Lana is like actually a part of it. She'll be having matches with us. Um, Hopefully, she'll be defending my tag title when I'm away. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, no. It's me, Isaac, Lana, and Joe Kessler.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that up. I've got to ask. I mean, obviously, Lana's been on the show and stuff like that. What's it like being in the ring, obviously, with Lana? Because we know how she can work a crowd so well. Let's be honest.
Oh, she's the best. I'm not even kidding. Oh, you'll get me on a massive tangent about how good she is. So we were at Comic Con, the Rare Wrestling Comic Con, for the love of wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
and that weekend I always knew how big she was, but genuinely, everyone knew who she was at that event. It was very rare you'd find someone that didn't know who she was. There was two people that dressed up as her at that event. She had her own. What's the word? What she had her own um performance thing. What would you call it? She had Lana Oki, whatever that is.
Yep.
Um, she had that going for her, and everyone loved it. Um, and everyone and I'm not saying this like she was in a rumble. She got one of the biggest reactions in the rumble out of everyone. On the same show as some XWE people getting the best like the loudest reactions, and I was like, wow, she's actually a huge star, bigger than what you kind of become a bit blind to it sometimes because you're around her. When you're around someone for so long, you just become a bit oblivious to things. So when you actually able to step back and watch it, you're like, whoa, my god, it's actually kind of crazy how popular she is. But to actually wrestle in a ring with her takes so much stress off me, and so much, I can just focus on wrestling, and I can just be horrible. She can just do all the hard work. I do the easy stuff. She does all the hard work. So it's great. To put it short, it's really, really fun, really good. She makes my job 10 times easier.
100%. I think one of my biggest things I like about Lana as well is when she's at Progress and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? That's probably one of my standout things. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, no, they all love her at Progress. Even though she's a bad guy. Like, come on, we all love Lana.
100%. 100%. You're renting, obviously, wrestling in Newcastle and stuff like that. Now, I've obviously been to the show. You've obviously been there a couple of times. What's it like, obviously, working there?
Oh, I love it. I really love working in Newcastle, especially there as well. They've treated me with nothing but respect. There's been a couple. I couldn't have appeared on one of the shows because I was ill. Another one I couldn't appear because car trouble, something like that. And they've always been very gracious, very understanding. I will be back at Wrestling in Newcastle on April 19th. I'm
Bullet Crew.
wrestling. Yep, that's the one. I'll be wrestling Tony Wright. So I'm really looking forward to that. The crowd is always mega hot. It's always sold out. It's packed. The arena's nice. The venue's nice. Got nothing but good things to say about them.
100%. The reason obviously I bring that up in particular is I'm going to throw a fan question in. So, Simon Gibb, I sent you this obviously so you're familiar with it. It says, will you, Lana, and Quinn return to North at some point? I miss waving signs at you.
Hopefully, yes. So I was asked to do North last December, I believe. Could be November. I can't remember. But unfortunately, our schedules clashed. Um, yeah, I believe that we will be back at North at some time. They obviously have a stacked roster. They have their own people, and you always have to respect that. So there's never, you can't always have a spot on a show. But if there's an opening, when there's an opening, I'd be more than happy to be there. I know Lana loves working there, and especially Isaiah. He's a guy so underrated. It's criminal how underrated he is. He did some great things at Odyssey Pro Wrestling. Um, Even at North, the presentations he did and stuff were just fantastic. He puts in so much effort. He gets such a great reaction, and he plays such a. I don't want to swear, but
And it's fine.
he plays such a dickhead. You just want to punch him so bad, but in the nicest way possible. So yeah, Isaiah. That's a shout out to Isaiah Quinn. He is the man, and he's super underrated. I want to see him everywhere this year.
100% and stuff like that. So, when you look back and stuff like that, what's some obviously your highlights which you're really proud of?
From where? Sorry, North.
No, just in general, like wrestling as a whole.
Oh, uh, the number one that comes to my mind is wrestling grizzled young veterans. That's because that was a bucket list thing for me. When I first got into wrestling, that was the dream. I was like, man, if I could just wrestle them, I would have done like a pretty good job. And not just wrestle them, have a great match with them. I had a really good match with them. That's a standout. Um, yeah, another standout is anytime I wrestle, I get to work with Lana. You know, I'm not just saying that. It is always a pleasure to work with Lana. Winning the TNT tag titles, that was a big moment for us. We worked really hard for those. You know, a lot of hard work and effort um, got was put into that tag team. So it was really really nice when we got you know we got given the opportunity. What else? I'm trying to think. I've got so many. I mean, the ICW stuff was always good. When I was the right censored at ICW, that was a highlight. It was ridiculous. I've got so many. Wrestling abroad, wrestling WXW. You know, doing the stuff for Progress. I've got a lot. That's kind of a highlight. Definitely doing a storyline at Progress. You know, get where there wasn't one person in that venue that that didn't hate me, and I was very proud of that. I remember the reaction I got every time I walked out was just so loud, and I was like, "Yes, here we go. We've got him now." So I was really enjoying that. Yeah, sorry, I've got like just gone through a nice little flashback of my career so far. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like I said, this is more about you, man. So stuff like that. So I'm happy just to listen. So before you obviously
Thank
go
you.
out, before you go obviously go out and perform and stuff like that, how do you get yourself into like the zone, as I call it?
So it's different sometimes, mate. It's like it's this. I can wrestle on for some reason. The bigger the show, the less
Hmm.
stressed I am. I'm not stressed at all. I'm nervous a little bit, but I know I've got it, and I'm calm. I'm like, yeah, I belong here. Yeah, I've got it, man. Like this is it. Like before WXW, I remember just not feeling nervous at all. I was excited to go out. Like that's the best when you can be excited to go out, not when you're like, oh man, I've got to just get through this. Just get through this, and you'll be fine. That's not necessarily the best mind frame to be out. You when you're loose and you relax and you're excited to go out, that's the best. So for me, it's actually during the week. I can't downplay a show. So what I mean by that is, let's say I've got a progress coming up.
Hmm.
That's a big show. I know it's a big show. I've got to be on form. I've got to be this. I've got to be that. I've got to be ready. So if I put in all the work during the time frame up to that show, well, you know, let the chips fall where they fall. You know, I've put in the work. I know I'm prepared. I'm excited to showcase. If I have a show where and I'm not dissing any show, I'm not doing that. I never put anything less than 100% in. But if I'm doing a show where, you know, it's just like one after the other, I'm here this week, I'm there next week, you know, I kind of just, oh, it's just another one. It's another one. You do this, it's a breeze, you know, I could do this in my sleep. And then that, before I go out, I kind of go, ooh, I'm about to wrestle. Ooh, I've kind of not digested this. Oh, you know, I'm not really mentally prepared myself for this, and then the nerves start kicking in. Then I start becoming in the mindset of, oh, I've got to get through this. Oh, I've got to, oh, come on, let's just get through it. So I don't necessarily do anything during the day. It's not like a ritual I do or anything like. I don't like psych myself. I punch myself in the head and psych myself up. Caffeine, I will say, is a ritual. I can't go out without caffeine. It ain't happening. It's not happening. Have to have caffeine, some form of caffeine, preferably coffee. Uh, um, but yeah, it's more like a week build up, really. I'd say.
Okay, okay. So how do you juggle obviously being a wrestler and obviously family life? Is that difficult for you, or just in general?
So this 6 weeks, this is the first time it's going to be yes, because me and Lana we live together, and then I wrestle on the weekends, like sometimes during the week. Uh, but you know we are booked on the same show, like 60% of the time, 50, 60% of the time. So we are literally each by each other's side, you know, 24/7 sometimes. Uh, now I will be away for 6 weeks this time, so this is the longest I would have gone in the last 5 years without Lana. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle. Uh, but I'm doing it for. I'm not doing it for selfish reasons. I'm doing it so I can look after the family. You know, that's my goal. My goal isn't, to go over and just, do it. I genuinely want to go over and I want to be able to, create opportunities where I can look after my family for long periods of time and, set up the future and things like that. So it hasn't been difficult, but it's going to get a little difficult. It's going to get a little bit hard. So I'm just trying to prepare for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Stuff like that. So, being obviously a wrestler and stuff like that, do you get the chance to watch wrestling from like a fan's point of view?
Yeah, I do, went through my soon to be stepkids. They're going to be my stepkids soon because I'm going to marry Lana. She's my fiance, but I promise I will. It's another thing I'm doing, trying to save up money for for a big wedding, big Star Wars wedding. She won't be happy with that. Um, but yeah, if I can watch it through them, yes, I will be a big fan. Especially when Cody was into it. Cody was really into it. He was 9 years old, 10 years old. He's just a kid. He doesn't want to hear the ins and outs of wrestling. So I've got to put myself into that mindset of, oh, maybe Edge is going to win. We don't know. I screwed him over, and I really play into the fact that this is real. Like this is a wrestling. Wrestling is real. Um, so it was really fun. It was really fun to just watch it as a fan because you start catching yourself up in the moments, and then you don't know who's going to win, and you don't know where the storyline's going to go. So you go, oh, crazy, blah blah blah, whatever. So not so much anymore. But Leah, her eldest, is into it. She, I always message her, like who's going to win the chamber, who's going to win the rumble. She gives me my idea. She gives her ideas, and I give her my ideas. So it's nice. Uh, but yeah, sorry, very long-winded answer. But yes, I can separate it.
Awesome. Obviously, I've got to ask the Elimination Chambers this weekend. Who are you thinking for the women, not who are you thinking to win the men's?
Say again, sorry. Who's winning the men's and who's winning the women? Did you say?
Yes.
Um, man, it's a tough one. I mean, you gotta go either Cena or Punk, but I reckon they might throw a spanner into the works. I just have a feeling like Drew might win it. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling Drew's gonna win it, and I don't know why I'm feeling this, but it's got to be Cena or Punk. If I'm gonna pick one, it's gonna be Cena. With that promo with Cody that happened on Friday, I
Mm-hmm.
think they're trying to steer the ship in a certain direction. So I'm definitely feeling Cena is going to win. I was personally heartbroken when John Cena got eliminated at the Royal Rumble. I was
I remember.
devastated.
Dear. What about the women's?
Remind me who's in the women's again?
Do you know what? We are looking at it. I couldn't even tell you.
That's terrible. I know. I do feel bad about that, but I stick my fingers in wrestling with certain people. I like people I try and watch and get better with. I couldn't even tell you who's on the undercard. I couldn't even tell you what other matches are on.
No, I'd have to have a look at stuff like that. But yeah, it's absolutely fine. So I ask a lot of people this, and I get the same answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Is it are wrestlers their own worst critics in a way?
Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah.
And
Just
why is that? Is it just like you want to be obviously like good at everything, or is it just like always learning?
oh yeah, every we should be our worst critics. Because the idea is with anything in life, you should be your worst critic, but you also should be your biggest fan as well. That's the yin and yang of it. You can't always be too one-sided because it's detrimental to your progress. But yeah, yeah, of course you want to be the best you can be, and the only way you get better is to critique and ask people for feedback and see where you went wrong, and then see where you went right as well. See what you did that was good, or this was great, or that was good there, but maybe change it to here. So yeah, we should be our biggest critique.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fast count clothing. I'm sure you know you guys pretty well. I've just a few questions in, so we're going to knock these out of the park. The first one was: as a man who carries himself with pride, how did he prepare for Burning Heart against James?
Ate raw chicken and punched uh, dead cows. I don't know. Um, I've been preparing that for that match ever since it started. I'm not gonna lie. I was very, very well. Again, that's another one where I wasn't nervous. I was just so excited, especially because I knew the level I'm at now is just night and day to when I wrestled my brother the first time. And also, I look like I've eaten two versions of myself prior. So um, the dynamic of the match would have played out a lot differently. He can't just wrestle me the same way because I'm not the same. So yeah, mentally I've been preparing for that ever since I started, and in ring is the reps. The amount of times I've wrestled in the past 5 years is ridiculous, up and down the country, around the world, literally around the world. So that's what's got me prepared for sure.
Absolutely. And the other few questions was: what was the inspiration for the latest T-shirt?
Venom, actually, Venom was. If you look at it, it's like half me, half demon thing, whatever that is. I just saw Venom stuff and I was like, man, that is well cool, and no one's really doing Venom. Not to the point of I didn't want to just like carbon copy Venom, but have like this inner fucking rage coming out of me. So I got like amped up when I was thinking of it. It's like inner rage, inner ruthlessness coming out of my body. That's how I feel. So that's kind of the idea I wanted. And I was like, who has that? Who has that inner rage? And I was like, well, Venom does. So that was kind of the inspiration. Um, yeah.
There you go. Next one was: who did you prefer to team with, Joe Kessler or Isaac North?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Yeah, I enjoy teaming with either of them, to be honest. Me and Joe is more athletic. We do more athletic things. That's not a knock on Isaac, because Isaac doesn't need to do athletic things. He can. It's crazy how athletic he is. He just doesn't need to do it. Whereas me and Isaac, it's more character. It's more um, storytelling, which is what I love both. I love both. If I had to pick one, I suppose I'm more of a storyteller and an entertainer than just a wrestler's wrestler. So, but both is I enjoy very much.
And the last one was: any more merch in the pipeline?
Have that. It will get. I'll be getting in touch with Fast Count for sure. They design all my stuff. The last two t-shirts, and just done incredible work, especially my last one. Um, I just want to double down on that style. The kind of death metal, demonized style. Um, but yes, 100%.
And Fast Count, by the way, for people listening, go check their stuff out because they do so many great designs. You know what I mean? I've got the one from Scott Bell. That's one of my absolute favorites. But yeah, go check them out, guys. You know what I mean? Incredible guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely check them out. The stuff is insane.
Exactly. So, being obviously in the wrestling as long as you have, what's the biggest things obviously you've learned? It could be in the ring, could be outside the ring.
Yeah, outside the ring, man, the biggest things I've learned is just to be really, it's kind of crazy, but just be really patient and polite with people, and just be a really good employee. Be easy to work with. You don't want to be a nightmare. Because I've seen people be nightmares and seen people say the wrong things or complain. I'm just like, you could just be very easy to work with and just get along with everyone. So that's kind of what I learned. In ring is just, you know, I learn. every day in ring stuff. But the biggest thing I'd say is that outside of the ring stuff for sure.
Yeah, everyone says something along them lines. So, for obviously, what fans not know about Rob Drake?
So you say what do people don't know about Rob Drake?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, what do people do? Probably a bunch. What don't we know about me? I love really soppy films. I love romantic films. I tell you what I watched the other day, and everyone should watch this film. It's bloody Brokeback Mountain. I watched it with Lana. I'm telling you what, it's a bloody fantastic film. And if you ain't crying about the end of that film, you're a heartless SOB. It's a great film. What else? I love Robbie Williams. I love Lady Gaga. I love Justin Bieber. I think they're great. Um, and also, I hate fish. There we go. We've got a plethora of things there.
Why do you hate fish?
Stinks, man. Don't convince me that smells like you want to put it in your mouth. That is a horrific smell. I don't, how are people going into a supermarket or wherever, and you're smelling that and you go, that smells delicious. That is literally the smell of bacteria. Get it away from me. No, that is disgusting.
I never thought I'd be 31 minutes in and Rob Drake saying hates fish.
Oh, don't get me started. It's the worst food. I'll eat anything. And honestly, I'm really easy with food. But I'm telling you, I will take the blame. I understand this is not a reasonable thing of me, but I have banned Lana from cooking fish in this house. Banned it. No, I'm telling you, the only thing she can have is fish fingers, and at a push, tuna. No, she cooks. I can say that, and she tells us to shut up, and just cooks it anyway.
Oh dear. So a few little more questions, mate, as obviously begin to wind down and stuff like that. Is any
Yeah.
opponents obviously you'd like to be in the ring with? Is any like
So,
main ones?
oh gosh, so many. I'm gonna put this out there because I think it's fun. But I want to do me and Lana versus Michael Oku and Amira. Let's do it. Let's do that this year. um, Gosh, there's so many. Now I'm going to America as well. It's an endless amount. Big Damo was always one. I've said that many times. I've always wanted to wrestle Big Damo. To be honest, I've wrestled a lot of the UK guys now. Um, Let me think. Tate Mayfair's, Luke Jacobs, Ethan Allen. Um, those are the UK guys, really. And then in America, just everyone. I'm just going to say it, just Booker T. I just want to wrestle Booker T.
There you go. There you go. So one final question, mate, is what's the goals obviously for you, short term, long term? You obviously mentioned the US tour and stuff like that, but is there anything else obviously you want to achieve this year?
Yeah, this year I'm just focusing on America, I won't lie. But Japan, I definitely want to go to Japan. Maybe not this year. We'll see how things pan out. But definitely Japan is up there. I'll be pretty content if I was wrestled in America and Japan. Everything else is just icing on the cake, really.
There you go. There you go. Rob, this has been an absolute blast, mate. Hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, stuff like that. So one thing obviously my guests like to do is they get to do the outro for this show. So you can say anything you want, you can promote anything you want. As long as you end it with a line, roll the outro. Take it away.
Okay. So this weekend I will be wrestling at Infinite Promotions. I'll be wrestling Liam Johnson. And I travel to Orlando, Florida come Monday, and I travel there for 6 weeks. And I'll be wrestling everywhere, and I'll be taking on anyone. And I just want to say this is a great podcast, but you've all been entered into the ruthless era. Now, what do I say?
Roll the outro.
Roll the outro. Cut that out and roll the outro.